We are recording. Okay.
Okay. We're here today with Miss Geldart doing our Ask Me Anything interview from uh, questions that we did on a poll from our Instagram. So let's just get right to it.
Okay.
Um, Part of these questions come from the poll, and then part of these come from other students that I'm friends with who had questions for you very specifically, which is kind of weird, but
Well, that's
that's,
interesting. All right. We'll see how
yeah.
that works.
So the first one is, who is your current biggest inspiration?
Wow. You kind of went there. Do you know what? Ultimately, I know it's going to sound probably a little easy, but um, you are the ones who inspire me. You're the ones who get me up in the morning, make me want to keep on, keep on. Um, So I think ultimately it's all of you. But if I were to kind of think of someone who was like famous or,
Mhm.
whatever, I'm gotta think who truly inspires me. Well, I mean, I'm always inspired by good writers, good poets, good thinkers. But, so I don't necessarily have one inspiration. I think
Mhm.
my thing is pulling bits and pieces from a lot of different sources and finding a whole out of that. So there you go.
Okay. That makes sense. I couldn't pick one person either. The next question is, what makes you happiest as a teacher?
Oh, when a student or a class has that aha moment, when I've helped them become a little more who they are supposed to be. I always say that I want kids to be the youiest yous you can possibly be. So when I have students who make those connections and get to it, and they figure out a little more on their own path of life, I'm there. That's everything for me.
That's yeah. That I hear that from a lot of teachers, and it sounds like a really cool thing to experience.
It is.
So, yeah. So the next one is also kind of deep. It's, what's the most beautiful thing you've ever experienced?
I'm going to have to think about that for a little bit. The most
We can come
beautiful.
back to it too.
You know what, can we? Because I want to I
Yeah.
don't want to, sometimes, the first thing, I want to let that meld a bit in my head. But we'll
Yeah.
get back to it, I promise.
Okay. And then this other one, it's more of just like a realization for you. And it's, someone asked, do you realize how much your kindness really impacts the students at Baker? And they were saying, I don't want to name who it was, but also from me as well, is your kindness like impacts a lot of students, and you're always there for people. And you have your snack drawers, and you're like, okay, well, if you ever miss a meal, come, I'll give you snacks. If you need someone to talk to, come talk to me. If you need somewhere to go, come talk to me. And they were just asking if you were able to see how much that impacts people.
Um, do you know what? Sometimes we get so caught up in our own world that we sometimes don't see that. And for the record, I think that answers the previous question. What's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced? You just gave it to me. You just gave me that moment. Thank you. Thank you for
i'm
that. So
glad
thank you.
I'm glad, because it really does make a difference having people who are there for you, especially like right now. School is so hard, and you're
It
still
is.
like, and a lot of things have happened to you, like in your classes, and that aren't always the best. And you
Yeah.
still you still keep, composed, and it's awesome, and it's a big inspiration for people. So,
Well,
yeah.
I appreciate that. I truly appreciate that. You only have control over your reactions to
Hmm.
things. And so that sometimes keeps me where I need to be.
Yeah.
And if people have to be, if they have to go there, I can stay here. I can
Yeah.
stay in that place, the dreaded woosah.
Yes.
But thank you
So,
that whoever said that,
yeah.
you can tell that person as well as you. thank you, because that meant
I
more
will.
than you could ever even imagine.
Oh, I'm glad. A little more lighthearted question.
Thank you. I need one.
And this person, they're graduated, and he asked for. He said I could say his name. I'm sure he's fine if I say his name. Asa Morris asked for a good book recommendation to kick off 2021.
Ooh, do you know what? I'm an advocate of always going backwards. If Asa has not as yet read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, he done need to. So that would be my very first selection in terms of wandering into things like that. So yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
that's not only fabulous reading, it has a glorious sense of humor, and I love the book like nobody's business.
That's awesome. Oh, who is your favorite Lord of the Flies character and why?
The Pigmeister. It's got to be the Pigmeister, you know? I mean, how could Piggy not be my very favorite character? And you know, and as to why, because despite many difficulties, he always managed to keep on moving forward, and he kept on trying to do things and to be good and to be right and to get people where they needed to be. So has to be the Pigmeister. Although it's really hard, you know. Simon's kind of amazing too, but you know,
Yeah,
when in
he's
doubt,
my favorite. I love Simon.
yeah, like what's the greatest novel ever? Lord of the Flies, you know. I mean, it's the book of books.
Oh yeah. People I have a lot of deep questions today apparently.
Okay.
Someone asked, "Are there any questions that you are afraid to be asked?"
Well, I think there are questions that can make somebody uncomfortable, you know, that can make me uncomfortable. But
Mhm.
if I expect my students to go there, you know, in their writing, if I expect them to take things as far as they can go and to be unafraid and bold, then I have to practice what I preach. And
Mhm.
I might not, I might cringe a bit, but ask away. I will answer.
Okay.
Um, so that's kind of who
The
I have to
fearless
be.
Miss Geldart.
That's me. Grr.
Um, I guess someone is wondering if Geldart is your maiden name.
Yes.
Okay.
I have always used that as my last name, always.
Okay.
All professionally speaking, that is
Mhm.
who I've always been. I've never been
Okay.
any other person.
Okay.
It's cool.
See, because when I have the same thing, like, if I wanna get married, I wanna keep my last name.
Yeah, you know, Elliot
I can
jokingly calls
imagine.
himself like Mr. Geldart, so that's kind of cool too.
That's fun. Um, oh, this one's fun. What is something that you have yet to scratch off your bucket list? I think I know what it is.
I what I have yet to.
Yes.
Oh, do you know what? I think my bucket list changes on any given day. But what's something that I haven't but would like to? Was that the question? That I
Yeah.
haven't but I would like to? Oh wow. Let me think. Do you know one thing that I've always, going to sound a little corny, but one thing that I have always, you know, wanted to do is to take a train across Canada.
Oh,
And yeah, you know, like that, like just take, or even one across the country, just to kind of take a long-term train trip. And what did you think I was going to say?
oh, I remember you've talked about before, you told me that you and Elliot have talked about retiring together and traveling somewhere like Spain and living somewhere for a few
Yes.
years and doing
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, we talk about what is this word retirement of which you speak? But yeah, you know, when we talk about, you know, retiring, yeah, I guess that was something that, you know, I've always wanted to retire to, you know, Spain or
Mhm.
Portugal, or Ajijic, Mexico. That was the other one. So we'll see how the universe evolves.
Yeah,
Dunno.
I
Dunno.
hope so. I think you'd do pretty good in Spain.
I think so too. I mean, Ellie and I have both been to Spain,
Okay,
not at the same time, when we were young, and we both loved it. So yeah.
I wanna go to Spain, that's awesome.
Oh, it is beautiful. It's amazing.
So awesome. Um, our last question, is do you have like, what's your main advice you would give to upcoming English teachers?
That's an amazing question. Uh, for me, it's always to remember that you don't teach a subject, you teach human beings about a subject,
Mhm,
and to remember that the entire purpose for English and literature is to make us more human and more humane. And the notion of connecting thousands of years ago literature to right now, it's amazing to think that thoughts from thousands of years ago can still be understood and experienced and contemplated, and never lose the wonder of it all.
mhm.
Once you lose the wonder of it all, you kind of become a little disenchanted. So that's it for me. That's, yeah, never lose the wonder of it all.
I muted myself. I was gonna say your answers are always so I feel like anytime you this is why I picked you for the interview because I feel like your answers are always so, like, wondrous and they're always so beautiful, and I'm just like, "How did she come up with a way to say something, that could be so little, but for it to mean so much bigger than what it is?"
Oh,
And
that's
it's
very
it's
kind. I appreciate that.
crazy to me how you just have such a way with words, and I'm sure that a lot of people
Oh,
can agree.
well, I appreciate you and all that you do as well.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the interview, and I hope people who watch this during Pride enjoy it.
I hope so too. Yikers. And on that note, have a wondrous day. It was great.
You
Thank you.
too. Thank
You have a
you.
terrific day. Bye, love.
Bye.